photographer, and I live here in Brooklyn.
My name's Katie Morrow. I'm 29 years old. I'm a teacher in Newtown, Connecticut, but I live in Bethel, Connecticut, and I'm also a librarian.
I'm Neah Lorton. I'm 18. I'm a sociology major at Manhattanville College, and I'm from Olympia, Washington.
My relationship status is engaged as of August 13th, 2015. His name is Matt DeLiso. He's a chef. We met about 3.5 years ago. It was kind of like a fairy tale. It was love at first sight.
I am happy in my life right now, but I think a lot of people look at me being single, they just immediately think you need to be in a relationship to be happy, because that's, what society says. But I'm happy, I'm living my life, I have a great job, great apartment, great family and friends. There's not much more that you can ask for.
What matters is having the right to choose whether or not you want to be in a relationship, whether or not you want to have children. Anything that has to do with your intimate and personal life should be your own decision.
The pressure, if anything, comes from myself because I want a family and I want to have a life with somebody. I'm very traditional in that way, so I want to have all those things.
I think there's a lot of pressures, not just from society, but from family and friends. When you hit a certain age, usually in your later 20s, everyone kind of just expects you to be in a long-term relationship, and then engaged, and then married, and then wanting babies right away. I love not following a checkoff list. I really do.
The biggest pressure would be marriage, where living alone and being single your whole life, or being in multiple relationships throughout your time and not necessarily committing to one person, is not traditional, and therefore it's not acceptable. With children, that's something that would be the result of marriage, so it's not as big of a pressure, but I would say that the biggest pressure for sure is marriage and to be with somebody until you die, because that's kind of like the American dream. You get married to somebody, you grow old with them, you die together, you get buried next to somebody, and that's not what I want for me.
In terms of being a traditional bride, I don't really have a lot of pressure. I think my family kind of knows I'm not ever going to be that way. A lot of my friends know not really I'm going to be that way. I started thinking about my wedding when I met my fiance. That's the only time I really thought about it or wanted to do it or thought it was even a possibility. I think I always thought I was never going to have kids and, didn't want to have a husband and, all this sort of stuff. But once you meet the right person, it sounds super cheesy and cliche, but it's the truth.
I believe that I will find companionship with the right person when I'm ready and when it's time. But I have no idea when that will be. It's kind of fun. I like that the age of women getting married is now older. I really feel like they're being smarter about their decisions. Now, this isn't to discredit anybody who's gotten married at a younger age. It's just looking ahead at your future. You change so much in your lifetime, and you really have to find someone that's going to change with you. And you have to know who you are before you get married. If you get married before you know who you actually are and what you want out of life, everything could change.
I am currently single, and I've been in relationships. People my age that are choosing to get married and to have children, it's entirely their own decision and they're allowed to do what they want. And that's kind of what I'm saying for me too. I'm going to grant them the right to get married and the right to have children as long as they grant me the right to live my life and to take an entirely different route and be independent. My grandmother has even said, it's not enough just to get married. I have to be with somebody that is not a person of color. I've always not only felt the pressure to get married, but to be married to somebody who is white. If I were to come out as gay or bi or pans or asexual, anything that's not heterosexual would be a problem within my family. And I think that's because a lot of them still hold some traditional values in some ways. They always told me that As their daughter, they wanted me to get married. This is not something that my brother ever experienced.
There used to be an expectation for women to choose either their career or a family. Women didn't used to have both. It was you had one or the other, and if you chose your job, you were definitely frowned upon. Now I think things are changing. You know, you even have men staying at home, being staying-at-home dads. I think that's wonderful. I feel like we're kind of growing up in this era where women do everything, and I like that. Women can work, they can have dreams, they can achieve their dreams, and they can have kids. They can do it all.
I don't think that you have to choose between having a career and having kids, because I think it's just such a different time than, you know, when my mom was a working mom and had me. I mean, the great thing about today and the workforce is you can make your own hours, you can do your own thing, you can try to make things work. So I think it's kind of easier now to be working, and, you know, well, I haven't had kids yet, so I don't know, but yeah, I think you're able to do it. I think you're able to have both. I always thought I was gonna be single and living in the city and, you know, being an artist, I guess. I didn't think that you necessarily could have both. I always thought of them as very separate entities, and I never really knew anybody that was doing them both simultaneously until I actually started working in the field and you know, had mentors and bosses, and, you know, once you start seeing a lot of people, you start to understand, and your priorities shift as you get older. You know, when I was 22, I would have, you know, never thought I wanted to have kids or have a husband or, you know, any of that stuff. So definitely, you know, as you get older, I could hear my clock ticking, okay, maybe you do want to do this.
Society seems to tell me that I should be trying to get a job, a high-paying job. I should go to college, I should get that education, but it's also telling me that I should find a husband and should have children. And those are two completely different roles that I can't really imagine myself juggling, because both of them are primarily main focuses in your life. You can either be a mother and love your children and take care of them, or you can take a career path. And I'm definitely steering more towards the career path end of things, but there's still this need for me to become a wife or to become a mother, and that just doesn't seem possible. I've definitely seen some people manage both, but I don't think that I would want to.
I wouldn't say I don't feel behind or pressured at all, because I feel pressured all the time from society, family, friends. They don't even realize they're doing it sometimes, but they do it. Do I feel behind? No and yes at the same time. No, I'm 29, I'm still young. I still have so much more I want to do in my life. But as soon as you hit 30, everyone's always like, you're 30. You know, you need to figure this stuff out. So the pressure's going to come even more. I definitely want to focus on my career before starting a family. I'd like to have everything in place, have a good routine down before having a family. As soon as you have a family, your whole world changes. You know, everything that you used to do, you can still do to a certain extent, but it's completely different.
A lot of my friends that are engaged and getting married, their moms have, you know, already had the venue booked and have planned a lot of the stuff, but we're not really like that. So I think we could wake up one day and be like, let's go to City Hall, or we could, you know, maybe we want to go down to Hawaii, or yeah, we don't know how we really want to celebrate yet. So we definitely want to make sure it feels right. Maybe it'll be traditional. I don't know. I haven't really thought too much about that, but when I see it, I'll know. That's what I always say.
I have friends who have been married at an early age. I'm 29, and I have friends who are already divorced. But I see the end result. And so often, it's not what they want. So many people are like, oh, I wish I did that in my life. They didn't do it. I don't want to say that. My number one thing that I love to do is travel. And if I did all the things everyone else was doing, I wouldn't be able to afford to travel. A lot of my friends can't. I don't have an agenda I have to follow. I can be spontaneous. I mean, I don't even have a pet. So if I just want to leave and not come back, I can. And I do that sometimes. Some nights I don't get home until 10, just because I found 4 other things to do on my way home from work. And then other times it's Friday night and I just got off the phone with someone in Massachusetts or Rhode Island and I just drive up there and go hang out for the weekend, visit everybody. You have so many things that you need to put into place. I can just book a flight and leave the next week. I don't have to make it a whole big ordeal. I just leave. I love that.
I think that I'm different from a lot of other teenagers because I have this form of self-fulfillment where I know that I don't need somebody else and I know that I'm going to be happy with doing my own thing and being myself without having that other person around. I also feel like I'm very capable, which I'm not sure. I feel like a lot of people my age may have some form of self-doubt where they don't want to go alone, and there's a lot of uncomfortability with that.
I'm a really family-oriented person. I absolutely will have kids one day. I am not at a place in my life where I'm ready to have children. Could I have a child right now? Absolutely. I would be a good mom. I know everything I need to do. I've seen it all from my nephew and all my friends. I'd be great, but that's not what I want right now. And that's definitely something worth waiting for until I'm ready.
I don't think I will ever be able to see myself as a mother unless it happens to me. Ever since I was little, I kind of knew that having a nuclear family and having that whole wife role and mother role was never really for me. When I've expressed that to my family, the answer has always been kind of like, your time will come, or you'll see, you'll want to have children, or you'll want to have a husband someday, you'll want that family, and I don't feel like that's necessarily correct, and even them saying that kind of implies that that's what I should be doing, and I do feel almost guilty for not wanting that nuclear family, but I know within me that that's definitely not what I need to feel successful and to feel fulfilled with my life.
It's our final